I think they were extraterrestrials. They were a race of giants. The reality is we are just one of the intelligent species in the universe thousands of years ago. Extraterrestrials are here today. We are under observation.
Malta lies in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, just south of Sicily. For thousands of years, people have puzzled over its ancient stone buildings. Some date those buildings to about 5,600 years ago. Others suggest they may be much older. Some say those who built them had help from beings not of this world. The islands hold several megalithic temples. They include Menadra, Hagar-Kim, Tarxien, and Gantija on Gozo. Mainstream study dates these to between about 3,600 BC and 2,500 BC. That comes from radiocarbon tests on organic remains found in temple layers. Pottery styles and tools match phases known in the wider Mediterranean. Soil layers under and around the temples show settlement from about 5,200 BC onward. That work began when first farmers arrived from Sicily. They knew no metal tools or wheel. They cut local limestone with stone picks and harder stone hammers. They polished surfaces with sand and water. They shaped heavy blocks by repeated strikes and abrasion. They moved blocks by hauling on rollers or dragging on wet ground. They built ramps of earth to set slabs in position. Over generations, they refined these methods. They passed knowledge from one group to the next. Some observers note the scale of the work. They point out stones weighing many tons. They note walls enclosing chambers, paved walkways, and evidence of ceilings long since lost. They see fine joins and alignments of stones. They see that some slabs align with sunrise on solstices or equinoxes. They ask how people without metal or wheel achieved that. Mainstream research says they watched the sun over many years. They marked endpoints on the horizon where sunrise or sunset fell on key days. They used simple sighting markers like stakes or aligned stones. Over time, they refined positions by trial and error. They adjusted new stones slightly until light fell along a corridor or hit a marker on the right day. That need not require high precision beyond human observation and perseverance. Weathering and minor shifts may alter alignments over centuries. Builders may have rebuilt or repaired parts of temples. That can shift exact alignments but keep general intent. A land surveyor named Paul McAuliffe argued for an earlier date, around 10,200 BC at Menadra. He used computer models of the sky to rewind Earth's tilt and precession. He claimed a beam of light at sunrise on the summer solstice would then strike an altar stone exactly. Mainstream archaeologists date Menadra to around 3,600 BC. Radiocarbon data show temple layers from that time. No organic remains date to 10,200 BC at the temple. Some say older traces could lie deeper but have not been found. Excavations reveal distinct layers with clear dates. No tools or pottery from 10,200 BC appear. Some propose erosion or later digging may have removed earlier traces, but lack of evidence makes the claim uncertain. People also study cart ruts carved into Malta's limestone bedrock. These parallel grooves appear in many places. Some run for hundreds of yards. Some lead into the sea. At low tide, one sees ruts vanish into water. Divers report finding similar grooves underwater at depth. Some say sea level rose after the last ice age, when Malta was joined to Sicily by land bridge about 12,000 years ago. If ruts date then, they predate known settlers by millennia. That would imply a lost culture with skill to carve grooves in rock. But dating rock grooves is hard. Mainstream view holds ruts formed by repeated dragging of carts or sledges over soft limestone. Over centuries, erosion deepened them. Some run into quarries or fields, some end abruptly, some overlap. That suggests multiple phases of use, not a single ancient plan. Ruts near sea may result from erosion or later carving near shore. Underwater grooves may be natural features misinterpreted. Careful geological survey and sediment study are needed, but evidence remains ambiguous. The Hypogeum at Halsaflieni is an underground complex carved into soft rock. It was found in 1902 by accident. It has 3 levels of chambers, passageways, and niches. Excavations show it served as burial place and ritual site around 3,600 to 2,500 BC. Carving removed large amounts of stone, yet tools found match stone picks and chisels. Walls show polish from sand and water. No metal tools appear. Some chambers have acoustic effects. In what is called the oracle room, a voice echoes throughout the complex. Some say that shows ancient people used sound to enter altered states or even shape matter. Modern experiments reveal that certain chamber shapes echo at particular frequencies. But natural echo arises in many caves or carved spaces. Builders may have noticed echoes and used the chamber for rituals. Using sound to cut stone or levitate slabs remains unproven for multi-ton blocks. Modern science shows small-scale effects in labs under controlled conditions. No clear evidence shows ancient people used sound for heavy lifting or carving. Some authors link temple alignments, cart ruts, and acoustic features to help from extraterrestrial visitors or giants. They note myths of tall beings or sky gods in many cultures. They say Malta fits a pattern of ancient sites worldwide. They point to legends of giants on Malta who built temples. They argue that myths may contain memory of visitors. They ask where advanced knowledge came from. They suggest aliens taught ancient people astronomy, geometry, and construction methods. They propose sonic levitation or anti-gravity used to move stones. They highlight that physics of resonance can alter matter and wonder if builders knew that. They claim mainstream archaeology underestimates ancient skill or ignores evidence. Mainstream scholars respond that evidence fits human effort with simple tech. Tool marks match stone tools. Settlements and burials linked to temple phases. Radiocarbon dating shows clear sequence from first settlers around 5200 BC to temple construction from about 3600 BC onwards. No signs of an earlier advanced culture on Malta. No remains of giants or exotic species appear. Folklore of giants arises because people imagine bigger beings for large stones. Similar myths exist where large structures appear, but stories do not prove real giant race. Legends can arise to explain puzzling features. Stories about cart ruts sometimes overstate underwater finds. Some dives report grooves, but rock features may be misread. Erosion, dissolution, or natural fissures can look like ruts. Underwater archaeology must carefully map and date context. Sediment layers may cover or reveal grooves. Sea level models show Malta was connected to Sicily about 20,000 years ago when sea level was far lower. Land bridge lasted until around 8000 BC, but no known settlement then on Malta. First clear human traces appear around 5200 BC. If people used ruts before, they left no pottery or tools dated to that time. That absence weakens the case for early ruts. Some ruts may be younger or formed by erosion. Networks of ruts may come from repeated local transport tasks. Farmers or quarry workers may have dragged loads along similar paths, deepening grooves over centuries. That explains varied directions and depths. Claims about temple alignments depend on assumptions. The horizon shape may have changed due to erosion or human alterations. Stones may have shifted. Builders may have altered temple over time. Perfect alignment at one date may be chance. With many stones oriented differently, some will align roughly to certain sunrise directions. People may notice that and assign meaning, but proving original intent for a specific ancient date is hard. Archaeologists look for repeated markers, consistent orientation across several monuments, and supporting evidence in ritual objects or art. On Malta, some alignments exist, but exact intent remains debated. Many alignments to solstices and equinoxes occur in early temples worldwide. That reflects agricultural cycles rather than alien design. Acoustic studies of hypogeum show echoes, but natural phenomena can yield strong resonance. Ritual use of caves or chambers with echo is common. People may have used sound to enhance ceremonies. No clear sign they used sound to cut or move stones. Tool marks in hypogeum match manual carving. No evidence of sonic cutting tools appears. Claims of fractal nonlinear resonance altering matter are speculative in ancient context. Modern science studies materials and sound interactions in labs. Scaling to multi-ton blocks outdoors is far beyond known ancient methods. Some point to the sudden end of temple building around 3000 BC. They ask why people abandoned big projects. Mainstream views suggest social change. Perhaps resource limits, soil exhaustion, climate shifts, or disease-affected society. Perhaps new groups arrived with different practices. Temple culture left few direct records. Over centuries, population shifted to smaller villages. Temples fell into disuse and were quarried later for building stone. That explains lack of continued use. Alternative views say a catastrophic event ended a prior advanced culture. They point to myths of floods or destruction, but no geologic evidence for a massive local catastrophe at that time. No clear ash layer or tsunami deposit dating to Temple End. Climate records show gradual changes, not sudden wipeout. Human societies can collapse or change without global cataclysm. Visitors who explore alien theories travel to Malta to film sunrise at Menidra. They interview local historians and dive into ruts. They record sound in hypogem. They show CGI of beams or levitating blocks. They highlight gaps in knowledge. They ask astronomers to test alignments. They ask geologists about sea level rise. They ask archaeologists about tools and dating. A fair report shows both sides. It shows mainstream evidence for human builders using simple methods and a clear timeline from 5200 BC onward. It shows alternative views based on sky models, legend, and unexplained features. It notes lack of proof for aliens or giants. It notes absence of earlier human remains from 10,200 BC at temple sites. It notes acoustic effects likely natural. It notes ruts likely from repeated local use and erosion. It notes that ancient people could move large stones with ingenuity over time. It notes myths of giants arise from human imagination. It notes no bones of giants exist. It notes that extraordinary claims require strong proof, which is lacking. The narrative can ask whether we should keep an open mind. It can note that future digs might reveal surprises. It can note that science updates with new evidence. It can note that mainstream archaeology remains open to new finds but demands physical proof. It can note that alternative theories highlight puzzles and gaps, but those gaps do not amount to proof of alien help. It can note that people often feel unknown with sensational ideas. It can note that learning about ancient builders often shows they had skills we once thought impossible without help. It can note that a simpler explanation is human effort, guided by careful observation of nature over long periods. Malta's first settlers arrived around 5200 BC. They built villages. They farmed wheat and barley. They herded goats and sheep. Over centuries, they learned to cut local limestone. They built simple huts. They stored food. They held ceremonies. They watched stars and seasons. They marked solstices with light falling in huts or simple markers. They passed knowledge orally. Over generations, they built larger structures. They learned to quarry larger blocks. They organized labor across communities. They built temples as focal points for gatherings and rituals. They used temples to mark seasons, honor ancestors, and perhaps seek good harvest. They crafted pottery with symbols. They carved shapes in stone, spirals, circles, and animal heads. These motifs likely linked to beliefs about life, death, and renewal. They may have looked to the sky for cycles. That fits building alignments. No writing appears on Malta. Without texts, we cannot know precise beliefs. Interpretations come from comparing with other Neolithic art and ethnographic analogies. That yields plausible but not certain ideas. Some carvings suggest fertility themes. Some suggest water or life cycles. None explicitly show star maps. Some see star patterns and spirals, but that is speculative. People tend to see patterns that match what they expect. Without direct evidence, caution is needed. The cart ruts puzzle some. They see grooves and imagine ancient railways or paths for machines. But simple dragging can carve grooves over time. If people dragged loads repeatedly along same path, grooves deepen. Limestone is soft. Rain and water can widen grooves further. Some ruts cross because different loads traveled at different times. Some end abruptly at cliffs or fields. Some go near quarries. That suggests local transport use rather than a planned network. Ruts into the sea may date from when shore was elsewhere or may be erosion features. Underwater grooves may be natural channels or result of wave action. Careful mapping shows many ruts lie on land and link quarries to building sites. That fits human use. No need for alien vehicles. Some claim ruts date to before first settlers, but no pottery or tools from that period appear nearby. If a culture carved ruts 12,000 years ago, they left no other sign. That is unlikely. More likely, ruts formed later when people had reason to move stone or materials. Reuse of older ruts by later users can confuse dating. Erosion may remove older layers, but overall evidence points to Neolithic or later origin. The hypogeum shows that ancient people had the skill to carve rock. They built chambers for burial and ritual. They arranged niches for skeletons. They polished walls. They carved columns from the same rock layer. That shows planning. They understood rock stability. They removed rock in stages. They used picks, chisels, and abrasion. They used light sources like oil lamps. They probably scaffolded work with wooden supports. They knew how to avoid collapse by carving in patterns. That skill likely grew from building above-ground temples where they learned about local stone behavior. Acoustic effects in hypogem may have been noticed. Builders may have shaped chambers to enhance echo. They may have used sound in rituals. They may have chanted or drummed. That could help communal focus, but that differs from using sound to cut stone or levitate mass. No evidence shows they used sonic devices to shape rock or lift slabs. Tool marks match manual carving. No traces of devices appear. Stories of giants often arise when people see large stones. They imagine taller beings. That appears in myths worldwide, but myths do not prove real giants. No fossil evidence, no skeletal remains. Legends likely arose to explain puzzling feats. Over time, storytellers added drama. That does not mean a giant race existed. Some suggest aliens visited Malta and taught builders. They point to alignments, ruts, and acoustics, but none of those proves alien contact. Each has plausible human explanation. The burden of proof lies on those claiming aliens. They must provide clear, testable evidence. Artifacts of non-human origin, technology beyond human capability of that era, genetic traces, messages, or records. None appears. Archaeology remains open to new finds. If someone finds an object of unknown material dated before known tech, that would prompt rethinking. If skeletal remains of unknown species turned up, that would challenge current views. So far, excavations have not produced such evidence. Instead, they yield pottery shards, human bones, simple tools, domestic waste, and temple deposits consistent with known Neolithic culture. Climate records show Malta experienced shifts. Dry periods or wetter phases could affect agriculture. Soil exhaustion could force change in settlement patterns. Disease or conflict may have reduced population. That can explain why temple building ended around 3000 BC. Temples fell into ruin. People reused stones for other buildings. Over millennia, memory of temple builders faded. Folklore grew, people saw ruins and invented stories of giants. Later, outsiders speculated about aliens. Those who traveled to Malta for ancient astronaut ideas film dramatic scenes. They time sunrise at temples. They dive into ruts. They record sound in hypogem. They interview local guides. They use computer graphics to show beams or alien craft. They ask experts for views. A fair report shows both sides. It shows mainstream findings and alternative theories. It notes gaps in our knowledge and cautions against jumping to conclusions. It notes that unexplained does not equal unexplainable by humans. It notes that ancient people often surprised later generations with their skills. It notes that modern experiments show simple methods can achieve feats once thought impossible. Malta's story reminds us that people long ago achieved much with little technology. They watched the sky, moved heavy stones, carved rock chambers, and held complex rituals. They did so over centuries with trial and error and shared labor. They left few written records but left stone monuments. We study those with care, layer by layer. We date organic remains, study tool marks, analyze pottery and human remains. We model ancient climate and sea level. We survey ruts and map their patterns. We record acoustic effects. We test theories against evidence. We update our views when new data appear. That method has explained many puzzles in other ancient sites. It may also explain Malta's megaliths. Still, some puzzles remain. We lack full detail on beliefs and rituals. We do not know why temple building stopped. We do not know full reasons for cart ruts. Gaps fuel speculation. Those drawn to alien ideas highlight those gaps. They ask if mainstream science dismisses clues too quickly. They urge an open mind. Open mind is good, but claims need solid proof. Extraordinary claims require strong evidence. At present, claims of alien help on Malta rest on interpretations rather than hard artifacts. So what are your thoughts on these mysteries and discoveries? Tell us in the comments below and subscribe to our channel for more content. Thanks for watching.